What's up, guys? I'm Karestar, Healer Main, and Viera Alt Enthusiast, and I spent Tuesday night exploring the brand new Dynamis Datacenter. If you want to know what it looked like day one, or learn how to make or transfer a character to one of these entirely new worlds in hopes of finally winning the housing lottery, exploring new frontiers, or claiming your own bench in Limsa, this video will save you from Meteion-esque despair. But first, take a second to subscribe so that my channel activity doesn't look like the Dynamis Datacenter's Day 1 Party Finder. I'll be making new videos every couple weeks about healing, raiding, and how to improve at both. Named for the source of energy that reacts to strong emotions, Dynamis is unleashed in Final Fantasy XIV to execute limit breaks, which are also the only way Party Finder clears savage fights. Luckily, transferring or creating a character on this new data center is far less emotionally taxing. Originally scheduled for this past August, the Dynamis Data Center went live yesterday on November 1st, 2022 with an initial launch of 4 brand new worlds. Halicarnassus, named for a city in ancient Greece and the well-received third-turn boss from Deltascape. Meteion, a summon from Final Fantasy VI. Merilith, a sword-wielding snake woman from multiple Final Fantasy games as well as Dungeons & Dragons. And Seraph, another Final Fantasy VI Esper with themes represented in other games in the series. Anytime new worlds or data centers are created, Final Fantasy XIV offers unique world population balancing incentives to encourage people to try out the new server. New characters get 1 million gil and 15 days of free playtime limited to once per service account, as well as 10 silver chocobo feathers and double experience up to level 80 for 90 days. Characters transferring to a new world get the typically $10 world transfer fee free of charge, 10 gold chocobo feathers which can be used for unique mounts like Twintania, and the same double experience until level 80 buff for 90 days. Transfer characters are also reimbursed for both apartments and housing if they are already in possession of either on their initial worlds. Apartments are reimbursed for 500,000 gil as well as another 500,000 gil for non-recoverable furnishings. Houses, meanwhile, are reimbursed for the full price of the estate with an additional 3 million gil for non-recoverable furnishings. Be careful though, while you need to remove your estate hall from your house and your furnishings from your home or apartment, it is essential that you do not relinquish the plot that your house was on or vacate the apartment that you just cleaned out. You need either of those on your account at the time of transfer to be properly reimbursed. Now, creating a new character is pretty self-explanatory, and whether male or female is your preference, you really can't go wrong with making a Viera. They're just pretty, really pretty. But how do you transfer an existing character? Well, believe it or not, the Mog Station is used for more than just addictively buying Fantasias. On your service account dashboard, scroll down to the section on games and additional services. Here, you will find the home world transfer icon with one Moogle joining its friends on a different world. Scroll through, read the terms of service and click the box to accept. You will then need to select the current home world of the character you wish to transfer. Is this completely backward from how it should work? Yes. Does the Mog Station remind you of a website from 2010 instead of 2022? Yes. Select yes and proceed to the transfer confirmation. You will have one more chance to confirm, along with reminders stating that your scores from Triple Triad tournaments, numbers from Jumbo Cactar lotteries, records for Palace of the Dead, and season rankings from PvP will all be forfeited when making the transfer. If you're still on board, hit next to go to the payment screen. While this is typically where you would pay $10, as we discussed, transferring to a new world is free, and the cost listed accurately reflects that. With one last click, your transfer is complete and your application has been submitted. It can take up to several hours for a transfer to go through, but in my experience, it's typically 5 to 10 minutes at most. You will receive an email when the transfer has been successful. What will you find when you log in for the first time? Beyond the double experience buff and endless new FC advertisements and shout chat, the Dynamis Data Center currently has some things that will feel no different than what you're used to, and others that will undoubtedly take some time to mature. On day one, Limsa was packed as people put on concerts, showed off their best glams, held a fried chicken festival, and generally celebrated experiencing a world together for the first time. Housing plots across the data center are wide open in all 5 locations, and the first ever Dynamis housing lottery will begin on Friday, November 4th at 8 AM Pacific. For new and transfer characters alike, this is easily your best chance to get a new house, particularly if you strategically target a less desirable plot or location. Of course, if you want beachfront property in the Mist, a private island in the Lavender Beds, your own waterfall in the Goblet, or literally literally any medium or large house, your chances are a bit more limited. Still, your odds are infinitely better than when everyone on the same world is competing for the same plot. Outside of housing, public RP venues do not yet seem to be populated, although private venues should take off once houses are established, and the endgame hub is as barren as the Dynamis Party Finder. I checked PF on Reclear Day at both 7 p.m. Eastern or East Coast Prime Time and 11 p.m. Eastern or West Coast Prime Time, and neither were particularly promising. I'm hoping that this is simply players preferring faster reclears on reset day, and that Dynamis PF will take off over time, as opposed to being yet another data center whose players flock to Aether when it's time to raid. Old Charlian, in contrast, was only slightly more empty than usual, and crafters and merchants have already packed the market board with relevant gear, food, pots, and key glamour pieces. In time, I'm sure that the Dynamis data center will feel not all that different from Aether, Crystal, or Primal, and while I may never leave Sarg, I'm excited to mess around with my alts on this new frontier. Final Fantasy XIV is more popular than ever, and whether you're new to the game and want to try it out, a veteran who desperately wants to win a house, or you simply need a home for a meme character, give the Dynamis Data Center a chance. After all, we know what happens if no one does, and despair wins. Also, real quick, I wanted to say how much I appreciate all of the views, likes, subscriptions, and comments on my previous 2 videos. I've had more fun in a few short weeks making YouTube videos than I had in months streaming on Twitch, and I hope to continue to create healing and raiding content for Final Fantasy XIV as long as I can. I know it's corny, but if you're still watching, please subscribe. It genuinely makes a difference, and I very much appreciate it. Have a good one.